you then feel guilt by proxy because it's like I was right there when Shia was going through what he was going through with his parents, and or like whoever else. Like I won't even name names, and it's just like, okay, like wow, I guess I'm lucky ? And like maybe I should just think about my life and just say, oh, it was so much better than this person's. But it's all kind of like the Wild West of child welfare. It's like nobody's really thinking about it in a way, but they are, like I said, they are kind of now. And again, I'm sorry, what was the question?
You're good. I mean, actually,
like
I was asking about Jeanette McCurdy, but I'm so curious because you've been mentioning Shia. I'm curious what you would have done differently.
Oh, it was the money thing. You were asking about the money.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, with what you know about Shia now, what would you have done differently at the time?
I would have hugged him more, man. I would have like made him give me a hug. I don't know. He probably wouldn't have liked that, but he was like he was kind of a brat at times. We started when I was 14, which means that he was probably like 11 or 12 or like very, very, very young kid. We were oil and water. I mean, I was this like preppy girl from the East Coast, and I had a really thick accent in the pilot when I look back. And he was just this like wild Venice kid with like two-toned hair, and like they brought us in for the chemistry read, and it was like we couldn't have been more different. And they were like, "That's the show," and they were so smart because it was like they didn't care if we got along or not. It meant that our chemistry was authentically, that sibling rivalry existed from the jump. So whether it was stoked by the materials or it was stoked by, executives being kind of like, like, hey, you guys are kind of funny. I don't know you can't explain it, but it's like a vibe that you have where it's kind of like, is this Shia's show? Is it the family show? And so it ended up becoming more of an ensemble show just by the nature of having to film at different times. So like being certain ages, like they would stagger our like, so again, we wouldn't be in the same storyline so that I could have hours of filming and then he would have hours of filming. And that's how they would stagger us to be able to do like a full TV show.
Wow.
Otherwise it would be too hard to coordinate us being in the same like scenes all the time. Mm-hmm. So we ended up having two different shows. There was the Ren show, kind of like when you would watch it, I would have a storyline and then he would have one. And his were arguably like way funnier than mine. Mine were just more like the Lizzie McGuire, like I like a boy and blah, blah, blah. But that was what we had to do because mostly girls were watching Disney Channel at the time. And so that's what was unique about even Stevens was because he was really just like so talented for comedy. Sometimes I think like, God, I wish he would just be funny. Like I just wish that there would have been more, there would be enough joy. There would have been enough joy in his life for him to continue with comedy. But as we know, like a lot of comics are like plagued with depression and like a ton of darkness in their lives. So I can't speak to what would have helped, but I know that, God, I mean, if you would put 40-year-old Christy in 16-year-old Christy's body, I would give him a hug, like a big hug then. Because he definitely needed one then. Yeah.